The vendor reached out to grab the idol's guitar.
Aw, come on! I can't be a famous folk singer without a cool guitar!
But in the end, he could only stretch his eyes and snap a photo in a flash. He went to a high-tech lab to replicate the guitar. The engineer put on a helmet, plugged data cables into Bender, and tried to access his file system. However, 99% of the memory was stuffed with irrelevant files. The engineer finally found the photo of the guitar, converted the image into a wireframe model, turned the handle, and wirelessly transmitted the wireframe to a 3D printer. The machine automatically drew the guitar's 3D model and eventually printed a physical copy.
I call my new guitar Bender May, because Bender may be the greatest folk singer of all time!
To become a folk singer, Bender traveled around collecting stories. He arrived at a railroad bar, where railroad workers offered to help him write songs. Bender wandered the cosmic rails for inspiration and finally wrote a song about how he stole all the railroad workers' girlfriends. But everything in the song came true, and an inexplicable force drove the workers to hunt Bender down. It turned out Bender's wireless connection to the 3D printer had never been cut. His thoughts were being automatically sent to the printer. Soon a worker chased him in a train. Bender immediately jumped out the window to escape, hurriedly boarded a cat-shaped flying car, and fled back to Earth, only to be hit head-on by the train anyway. At Bender's funeral, his idol sang the song he had written. Then a familiar voice came from outside the door. It turned out that when Bender fled back to Earth, he had used the 3D printer to replicate a copy of himself.
Now that's what I call a great ending. I made a copy of myself, and Big Caboose killed him.